Israel recently attempted to take on Iran and destroy its nuclear facilities. The move triggered a standoff that saw both nations exchanging deadly strikes for 12 days, a brutal reminder of what's at stake when nuclear ambitions collide with regional power plays. But this isn't the first time Israel has tried to stop a Muslim country from going nuclear. Back in the 1980s, Tel Aviv, with covert help from India, attempted to destroy Pakistan's nuclear facilities. It failed. So, how did Pakistan, not an economically advanced country, build a nuclear program that turned the country into a target for Israel? To understand that, we need to go back to the Cold War era. In 1956, under the U.S. Atoms for Peace program, the Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission was established. This was then U.S. President Eisenhower's idea, aimed at slowing down the nuclear arms race by offering countries assistance in developing civilian nuclear energy in exchange for not building bombs. Pakistan sent 37 scientists abroad, acquired nuclear equipment with U.S. aid, and by 1961 had its own research center in Lahore. 2 years later, it had a small nuclear power plant near its capital, Islamabad. Then came the 1965 war with India. Washington, Islamabad's primary weapon supplier, imposed an arms embargo on Pakistan for violating an agreement between both countries by using US-made weapons against India. At the same time, India had quietly begun developing nuclear weapons.
But the need for that was that if India builds the bomb, then Pakistan will build the bomb.
Pakistan now faced two urgent needs: find a reliable ally and start its own nuclear weapons program. That ally turned out to be China, and Islamabad turned inward. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, then Pakistan's foreign minister, made it clear, if New Delhi had the bomb, Islamabad would get one too, even if it meant eating grass. By 1971, Pakistan had lost its eastern wing, now Bangladesh, after another war with India. 3 years later, India tested its first nuclear device. It was called Smiling Buddha, and it was built using technology provided by the US and the former USSR, on the assumption that it would be used peacefully.
I'm never bothered about prestige.
Pakistan demanded sanctions. Washington, through then US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, responded with inaction as if to say, live with it. In 1972, Bhutto gathered scientists and bureaucrats in a secret meeting in Multan, where they vowed to develop nuclear weapons. This covert initiative was called Project 706, Pakistan's own Manhattan Project.
There's a phenomenon called the never again when states and society go through a process. Never again are we going to face humiliation. And this is almost the history of almost all the countries in the nuclear age, the first nuclear age, I mean, Soviet Union said, we're not going to be humiliated by the Nazis the way they did. India was humiliated by China, so they said, never again we're going to be like that. So you can see that there is a chain reaction of every country feeling that if you humiliate, give you humiliation and sort of a sense of isolationism, and then there's a national pride associated.
Enter Abdul Qadir A.Q. Khan, a nuclear physicist working at Urenco, a European uranium enrichment firm. Khan offered his services to Bhutto in 1974. He returned from the Netherlands to Pakistan with stolen centrifuge designs and started a parallel uranium enrichment program in the country.
That's a turning point of Pakistan nuclear weapons history. After the India's test that happened in 74, every effort was made to stop the Pakistan from getting into any reprocessing facility or any technological element. So it was at that time when Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan, working in Netherlands on centrifuge plant, he sent a letter to Zulfikar Ali Bhutto that he would be able to help through a different route, which is called the highly enriched uranium route, by enriching uranium-235 over 90% to create. He thought that that is the route that you could actually do.
The PAEC, Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission, worked on plutonium, and Khan set up a uranium enrichment laboratory in a small idyllic town called Kahuta. To buy equipment from Europe, Khan built a network of front companies. One was disguised as a butter factory.
The beauty of the program was that it could assemble the weapon system inside the country by getting into small pieces, which would have a multiple dual use capabilities. Vacuum cleaners and like washing machines and precision engineering equipment.
Through his contacts and state support, Khan imported almost everything needed for a functioning enrichment plant, down to spare parts. Bhutto was ousted in a coup in 1977, after which Washington imposed more sanctions on the country. But Khan's project ended up receiving even greater support and funding under the administration of Bhutto's replacement, General Zia-ul-Haq.
He wrote a book in that, and he used to mention, and it was his quote, that if the Christian world can have the bomb, if the Jews can have the bomb, the Hindus can have the bomb, the communists can have the bomb, why can't a Muslim country have a bomb?
In 1979, British intelligence and an ensuing German documentary exposed Pakistan's nuclear ambitions and how it was bypassing the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA. But the US didn't act. Why? Because it needed Pakistan. The Soviets had just invaded Afghanistan. The Iranian Revolution had toppled the Shah, a key US ally. Washington now saw Pakistan as an essential regional ally.
The best of all worlds. You have created the illusion, and that would be your word, that you have the bomb, but you don't have the bomb. So you're still going to get the American aid, and you're still going to keep India off balance. I'm not indulging in self-praise, but Pakistan is an intelligent people.
In 1979, the CIA learned that Israel was considering a military strike on Qahuta to prevent Pakistan from exploding a bomb. The plan did not materialize. Israel, however, bombed Iraq's nuclear facility in 1981 and began to plan a preemptive strike on Pakistan with India's help.
Israel was always, wary of who is acquiring nuclear weapons capability. That was related to the Islamic summit that was happened in 1974, in which Israelis came to know that all Muslim countries at the time were supporting Pakistan nuclear program covertly. And the Israelis thinking was that if one country gets away under that second, this is going to be a bomb that's going to be eventually a threat to Israel. The US got very sort of involved into the process to dissuade India that this could be a dangerous contingency to do so.
Zia continued to deny that Pakistan possessed any nuclear weapons.
Yes, it's false. Totally false. When Pakistan does not have the intention or the urgent desire to have a nuclear device, why should we have such things?
But in March 1983, Islamabad went public with its nuclear weapons program, conducting its first ever cold test of a nuclear device. The following year, Tel Aviv had partnered with New Delhi to target Pakistan's facilities.
Things began to change in 1981 when Israelis struck the Osirak reactor in Iraq. And that became a big threat because then India tried to copy that. Oh, you can do that, I can do that also. India does the same even today. They think that whatever Israel can do and get away with, they can do in their neighborhood and get away with as well. It's not clear whether Israel would be directly involved in actually striking or not. We don't have any open source information on that, but definitely the Israelis were helping Indians get trained to do so.
The joint mission was called Operation Qahuta and involved Israeli jets using Indian air bases to fly under the radar above Kashmir. India's then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi signed off on the plan, but later cancelled it. Her son, Rajiv, who succeeded her, chose restraint at first.
इस वक्त फिजा इतनी साजगार है नजर आ रही है कि मुझे ये महसूस हो रहा है कि हिंदुस्तान में से कि अभी ये सवालात नहीं के खत्म हो गए.
Then came 1986. India launched a massive military exercise called Operation Brass Tacks. It involved over 800,000 troops and heavy armor on the country's border with Pakistan. Islamabad believed it was a setup for war. By 1987, the two countries were staring each other down on their borders.
A war would be triggered, a crisis would be triggered, and if the crisis turns into a sort of a kinetic action war, the same plan of Jaguars, etc., hugging the terrain, flying low to escape the radar, and strike out in anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes. In
1998, India conducted 5 more nuclear tests. Amidst reports of an Israeli airstrike on Pakistan's nuclear installations from Indian air bases, Islamabad responded with its own series of tests, establishing credible nuclear deterrence.
It will change the constellation of power here, and it will pose a very grave danger to the peace of the world.
But Pakistan's bomb came with some sanctions and controversies. In the early 2000s, A.Q. Khan was accused of selling nuclear secrets to Iran, North Korea, and Libya. Under U.S. pressure, Pakistan's then-President Musharraf placed the physicist under house arrest. Khan was forced to confess on national television.
The investigation has established that many of the reported activities did occur, and that these were inevitably initiated at my behest.
After Musharraf was deposed in 2007, all charges against A.Q. Khan were dismissed, and the physicist died in 2021.
Were it not for nuclear deterrence, South Asia would have had so many wars, destructive wars by now. It clearly has prevented escalation of war, because that is the major factor. Regardless of how it happened, we have seen that no matter how much you try to coerce Pakistan, it will not coerce. It is maintaining its sovereignty primarily because it has the ultimate power behind that. And that allows the Pakistani military to give a befitting response because they know they have the ultimate weapon in their back pocket. So they're giving a response back. India cannot treat Pakistan like Lebanon, like Israel treats its neighbors.
Former CIA Director George Tenet thought him at least as dangerous as Osama bin Laden, and former Mossad chief Shabtai Shavit regretted not killing him. But to almost 250 million Pakistanis, Abdul Qadir Khan, the godfather of Pakistan's nuclear program, is a legend and national hero. The nuclear scientist, who was born in 1936 and died in 2021 aged 85, was more responsible than anyone else for the South Asian nation developing a nuclear bomb. He created a secret nuclear program that officially didn't exist. He ran an even more secret network, assisting Iran, Libya and North Korea with their nuclear programs. Israel, itself a nuclear power, allegedly used assassination attempts and threats to try and stop Pakistan from going nuclear. In the 1980s, Israel even planned to bomb Pakistan's nuclear site with Indian assistance. None of this worked, and Pakistan became a nuclear power. It all began on the 18th of May 1974 when India tested its first nuclear weapon. Pakistani Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto immediately vowed to develop nuclear weapons for his own country. "We will eat grass or leaves, even grow hungry, but we will get one of our own," he said. There was, he declared, a Christian bomb, a Jewish bomb, and now a Hindu bomb. Why not an Islamic bomb? A.Q. Khan, as he is commonly remembered by Pakistanis, was the man to build that bomb. In 1974, Khan was working for a subcontractor of a major nuclear fuel company, Urenco, in Amsterdam. Khan had access to top secret areas of the facility and blueprints of the world's best centrifuges, which enriched natural uranium and turned it into bomb fuel. In January 1976, he made a sudden and mysterious departure from the Netherlands, saying he had been made an offer he can't refuse in Pakistan. Khan was later accused of having stolen a blueprint for uranium centrifuges and taken it to Pakistan. That July, he set up a research laboratory in Rawalpindi, which started to produce enriched uranium for nuclear weapons. While Pakistan's military establishment supported Khan's work, civilian governments were generally kept in the dark. Even the late Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's daughter, was not told a word by her generals about a nuclear technology sharing program with Iran. She only found out about it in 1989 by accident in Tehran. The Iranian president took her aside and asked her whether they could reaffirm the two countries' agreement on special defense matters. "What exactly are you talking about, Mr. President?" asked Bhutto, confused. "Nuclear technology, Madam Prime Minister, nuclear technology," replied the Iranian president. Bhutto was stunned. A.Q. Khan's motivation for the nuclear operation was in large part ideological. He said, "I want to question the holier-than-thou attitude of the Americans and British. Are these bastards God-appointed guardians of the world?" There were serious efforts to sabotage the program, including a series of assassination attempts widely understood to have been the work of Israel's intelligence agency, Mossad. Executives at European companies doing business with Khan found themselves targeted. A letter bomb was sent to one in West Germany. He escaped, but his dog was killed. Another bombing targeted a senior executive of Swiss company Cora Engineering, which worked on Pakistan's nuclear program. In the early 1980s, Israel even proposed to India that the two collaborate to bomb and destroy Pakistan's nuclear facility in Rawalpindi. Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi approved the strike. A plan developed for Israeli bombers to take off from an airbase in India's Gujarat and launch strikes on the Pakistani facility, but Gandhi later backed out and the plan was shelved. Despite Indian and Israeli opposition, the Americans turned a blind eye to the nuclear program because Pakistan was an important Cold War ally. But everything changed with the end of the Cold War. In October 1990, the US halted economic and military aid to Pakistan in protest against the nuclear program. Pakistan then said it would stop developing nuclear weapons. A.Q. Khan later revealed, however, that the operation secretly continued. In 1998, Pakistan then successfully tested its own nuclear warheads. Khan became a national hero. Streets, schools, and even cricket teams were named after him. But he had also been organising another, particularly daring operation. From the mid-1980s onwards, Khan ran an international nuclear network which sent technology and designs to Iran, North Korea and Libya. The Mossad had him under surveillance as he travelled around the Middle East, but failed to work out what the scientist was doing. Then Mossad chief Shabtai Shavit later said that if he had realised Khan's intentions, he would have considered ordering his assassination. In the end, Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi blew Khan's operation in 2003 while attempting to win support from the US. Gaddafi disclosed to the CIA and MI6 that Khan was building nuclear sites for the Libyan government, some of which were disguised as chicken farms. The CIA seized machinery bound for Libya as it was being smuggled through the Suez Canal. Investigators found weapons blueprints in bags from an Islamabad dry cleaner. In 2004, Khan confessed. He said he acted alone with no support from the Pakistani government, and under US pressure, the Pakistani government placed Khan under effective house arrest in Islamabad until 2009. In his later years, Khan funded a community centre in Islamabad and spent his time feeding monkeys. Later, he said that I saved the country for the first time when I made Pakistan a nuclear nation, and saved it again when I confessed and took the whole blame on myself. In America, he was widely condemned, but those who knew him said Khan firmly believed what he had done was right. In 2019, 2 years before his death, Khan publicly said that the nation should be rest assured Pakistan is a safe atomic power.